Nobody loves our Latino community and our Puerto Rican community more than I do. Nobody.
Donald Trump reaching out there to Latino and Puerto Rican voters in Allentown, Pennsylvania last night. The visit came days after he faced backlash from that community over racist language and vulgar comments made at a Trump rally over the weekend.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico. Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. These Latinos, they love making babies, too. Just know that. Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor.
Well, a senior Trump campaign advisor said those comments do not reflect the views of the former president or of his campaign. Victor Martinez is the owner and host of La Mega, a Spanish-language radio station in Pennsylvania, and he joins me now. Victor Martinez, it's good to meet you. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I wasn't sure there was time for another big surprise in this election, and then Sunday happened. What went through your mind when you heard those jokes, I say with air quotes?
Well, let me tell you, from seconds when it happened, my social media started lighting up. And at first, I was surprised. At first, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that someone will actually say something like that, knowing that the cameras were on in front of thousands of people. And worse, in New York City, where about 1 million Puerto Ricans live. There's a long history and tradition of Puerto Ricans in New York. New York is the #1 place outside of Puerto Rico where most Puerto Ricans live. So again, I was surprised that somebody will say it out loud in front of cameras, and then in basically the home of Puerto Ricans of more than 1 million. And then I got upset. Then I got mad that somebody will say something like that.
Yeah, and as an invited guest at a political rally in the closing argument phase of a presidential election where Latino voters are important, and in your state, in Pennsylvania, there's about, 300,000 voters of Puerto Rican origin. You said your phone's lit up. You're flooded with calls on your show. How is this going to affect things in Pennsylvania?
So we have 5 Spanish radio stations. My morning show simulcast through all 5. So my audience is about 250,000 Latinos here in Pennsylvania. For the last 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, all we've been talking about is this. People just keep calling, expressing their discontent, expressing how upset they are. And I'll tell you, the more time goes by, the more pissed off they get. Because, again, now they're upset that Donald Trump refuses to even acknowledge that it happened, refuses to distance himself, he refused to apologize for it. And so that's just getting people even more mad that okay, listen, we get it. You didn't say it. We're willing to give you a pass. But at least show some empathy. At least show us that you are not part, that you don't think that way, that you don't think that we are garbage. And so that's what getting people now really mad.
Yeah, it's well, that's the Trump style. Always attack, never apologize, right? That's kind of, and there's a lot of things said on that stage beyond that, which were also problematic. But you heard him there in Allentown saying nobody loves the Latino and Puerto Rican communities more than he does. I mean, are people going to buy that? What do you think?
No, they're not going to buy that. I mean, again, with every minute that goes by and he just refuses to acknowledge what happened or distance himself from what happened, people are going to distance themselves from him. And I mean, the calls that I'm getting, people are just really upset. And I'll give you an example. I even have a caller who told us on the air, I'm a Republican. I voted for him last week on early voting, mail-in voting, and I'm regretting it now, and I'm upset about it. And so I asked him, I said, okay, you voted for him, now what? And he said, well, the only way I'm trying to make it up is by now trying to tell my family members and my friend to please not vote for him. So that just goes to show you where people are. And again, with 300,000 Puerto Rican eligible to vote, if 1%, 2% of those 300,000 decide to switch their vote or now vote for Kamala Harris, that could decide who wins Pennsylvania.
Well, see, that's what I was wondering, because obviously no group or community is monolithic, right? There are Puerto Ricans who will still vote for Trump. There are people who will be motivated to vote against him. But what's your sense of the reaction? Is it mobilizing enough movement or energizing people to come out and vote? Because coincidentally, Kamala Harris was in Pennsylvania that day, laying out her economic plan for Puerto Rico, a pre-planned event. So it's just this weird cosmic timing. I mean, do you think it moves people?
I call it the gift from the gods. I mean, what are the chances that Kamala Harris is sitting at a Puerto Rican restaurant in Philadelphia at the same time that this is being said at a Trump rally in New York? And again, when the stars align, they align. And again, what are the chances that literally a week earlier, the campaign released a video commercial with Mark Anthony, Puerto Rican superstar from New York, trying to remind people what happened and the way Trump treated Puerto Rico during the Hurricane Maria back 5-6 years ago. So again, they couldn't have predicted or planned this any better.
No, I mean, that image of him throwing the paper towels, it was an enduring one from his first term, right? So you mentioned, Mark Anthony was in the ad. We've seen Bad Bunny, J-Lo, Ricky Martin, a lot of Latino celebrities coming out on this. And celebrities don't necessarily move votes, but being upset and pissed off, as you said, does. So what do you think is happening there with the Puerto Rican votes and maybe the Latino vote in Pennsylvania? What's your sense?
Well, again, from what I'm getting from my audience, you have a lot of people who've called me and told me, listen, I wasn't engaged, I didn't care, I was bored, I wasn't even going to vote. Now I'm voting. I think this is what we're calling a pride vote. You hurt my pride. You went after my island. You went after my people. Now I'm voting, maybe not even because I care, but because I'm going to show you what I can do. We're going to show you what we Puerto Ricans are made of. And I'll give you an example also of the pressure. Nicky Jam, a very well-known, established Puerto Rican singer, about a month ago, he came to Pennsylvania and endorsed Donald Trump. Well, his Puerto Rican fans have put so much pressure on him in social media that today, about an hour ago, he posted a video taking back the endorsement, telling people that, above all, he's a Puerto Rican and that he's now taking his endorsement away from Donald Trump. I'll give you another example. Jennifer Gonzalez is the Puerto Rico representative in Congress. She's a big Trump supporter. She's a Republican, and she's running for governor of Puerto Rico. Well, yesterday, she went on live TV in Puerto Rico and said that this was horrible, that these comments were trash, and that this will hurt Donald Trump in the states where Puerto Rican live.
That's interesting, because comments like that, the pulling, that goes viral, that spreads, right? People call your show to talk about it. But yeah, I just as a final point, Victor, you talked about how people are mad that they've disowned it in an official statement, but he hasn't done it, right? If he were to say he's sorry tonight or tomorrow, like 3-4 days later, does that help things for him now, or is it just too late because he didn't do it in the moment?
I'm glad you asked that question, because yesterday morning, that's what I asked my audience.
Right.
I said, okay, he's coming to Allentown. Let's see that he finds God and he decides to on stage, because the PPL Center where he was speaking, it's right in the middle of the Puerto Rican neighborhood. So I asked my audience, I said, okay, so if he's tomorrow, right here in the neighborhood, in the hood, decides to apologize, is it okay? Would you give him a pass? Overwhelmingly, everybody said no.
Really?
We got statements like, no, the train's left the station. If he does it now, we know it's just for political pandering. He had an opportunity to do it Sunday, Monday, even Tuesday morning, and he didn't do it. I think what also made it worse was that Trump announced a press conference yesterday morning. And so everybody got their hopes up. Everybody thought that, okay, he's going to have a press conference, 10 o'clock in the morning, and he's going to talk about it. And then he didn't. And then he went the other way. He called it a love fest. He said that he was proud of this event. And then that just was the last straw.
Yeah, apologies have to be made in the moment when you realize there's been harm, not when you realize there's consequences for you. And that's a lesson a lot of politicians fail to learn. Victor Martinez, I appreciate this insight, man. I really appreciate it. Victor Martinez with La Mega, Spanish language radio station in Pennsylvania. Thanks for joining us today, sir.
Anytime.